So we're about to take the top end of this BMW N55 apart to replace the Valvetronic actuator motor. So I took all the plastics and basic air filter stuff off already. Now we have to take off that entire top area so we can get these supports out of the way, and then we'll be disconnecting all this, pulling the valve cover off, pulling the valves out and the injectors, and replacing the motor. So we've got most of the plastic cowling all along the top there out of the way. We got the support beams that ran across here out of the way, and the plastic that was covering the valve cover out of the way. So this is all loose. Instead of disconnecting it, I'll just slide the valve cover out. But now we've got to remove the injectors and all these cables. This is the connector for the Valvetronic actuator motor. That's what I'm trying to get out. So this connector goes to the motor that's underneath and sits into the engine. And so all of this wiring harness I'm going to take off, and then of course the pressurized fuel lines. I've disconnected most of the wiring, the hoses, just about everything, and I'm gonna start taking out the injectors here. But before I do that, I want to blow out any debris and clear things out so nothing falls into the injector hole. So once you disconnect that wire, the injector pops up like this, which loosens this connector here. So you pull that away, and then you just kind of reach your finger in here and pull the injector right out. The spark plug's down in there. Now that I've disconnected the wiring from the injectors, this wiring harness just kind of pops out with two little screws, one here and one over there, and you can basically just lift the entire harness up and out of the way like that. So we've got the fuel lines disconnected, we've got the wiring harness out of the way, took the injector brackets out. So we're about to pull the injectors, and that requires a special tool. This is the injector removal kit. So these things screw onto the injectors like that, and then they screw onto this bracket, and then these bolts mount into these holes, and then you tighten them down and it just gently, evenly pulls the injectors out. I'll show you when I get it hooked up. So here are the first two injectors. I didn't film me taking them out because I didn't want to look like a jackass. I'll film the next two. But if you look, these are all labeled, and you want to make sure you put the exact injector back into the right holes. So you take a picture of these numbers, and you make sure you know which injector they went for, which cylinder. So you put them in like this. And these brass ones are reverse threaded, right? So that's what you're going to use to remove them. But these spin independently and thread on top of the injector. So you want to get that started just kind of loosely. Don't tighten anything down. And then once we get these down secure onto the injectors, then we tighten these down, because we want this tool to be secured. So now that we've got the tool bolted down, we've got the injectors secured with those threads, we take this and we start turning this clockwise, because remember, they're reverse threaded, and these are actually lifting the injectors evenly out of the, I don't know what you would call that, the injector place. And that's how that works. And it's a little tough until you can feel them release. You got to be careful, but this one released, so you can see the injector kind of moving up as I'm turning, but this one's still a little stuck, so I want to be careful. So we got the valve cover off, and it wasn't as easy as I thought it would be, because it was hard to get it out from under this plastic lip on the dashboard that connects to the windshield. So basically got it off though. I'm not looking forward to getting it back on, the new one, but these are now I'm going to remove the injector wells. This whole piece comes out. This is the motor I'm trying to get out. This is the oil feed. This little thing comes out, it feeds oil into the gears, and once I get the injector wells out, I'll show you how that works. But this whole spring-loaded thing is a Valvetronic actuator shaft, and it controls the valves. It makes the valves open and close more precisely. So, and then you can see how it runs along the camshaft. So, got the top of the motor exposed. 2.5 hours, not bad. So now with the injector wells removed, and these are the gaskets. This is the motor. This is the whole reason we're doing this actuator motor. But you see this gear is turned by the little threaded spindle in there in the motor. That's what makes this go up and down. This is significantly spring-loaded. And so what we got to do is remove this little oil feeder. It just feeds oil into the gears. But then we got to put a wrench on this thing over here and crank this thing all the way back. We got to work this all the way down. We got to take the stop. This is what stops it from going too far. We take that out. Then we roll this all the way down so the gear is off of the motor. Take the bolts out and replace the motor. Okay, 3 bolts were removed. The motor comes out. This is the bad boy that failed on me. You see it has these gears that turn, that drive that spring-loaded Valvetronic shaft. So that's it. There's a hole. We just dropped the new one in. And reminds me of when I hiked one of the biggest mountain in North America, Mount Whitney. And I got to the summit, and I was so excited that I did it. And my experienced hiking partner said, "You're only halfway done." Got to go back down. So same here. Got to put it all back together. And one of the things you want to make sure of is that the eccentric motor gear is okay. And this actually, I mean, you could see wear, but it's okay. It's not nicked or cracked. And thank goodness, because you don't want to have to replace that whole shaft. That's quite a job. So now you got to use this Allen wrench to slowly turn the motor and get the eccentric spring-loaded shaft up to full, all the way up to the max, so then I can put the stop back in and it'll be in position. But you just manually turn this to get it cranked up. Got the 3 new injector well gaskets on there, and about to drop the injector wells back in. Cleaned up all the edges, so should be good to go. Got the injector wells put back in and snugged, and then I've got my digital torque wrench set for 10 Newton meters. Newton meters. So the seals I bought for the injector, this is the injector, aren't the right size, but these actually don't look bad. They're in decent shape. So I cleaned the injector outlets and all that, but I'm going to put on the new couplers. Goes with the little ribbon side down, they pop in. I'm going to use a socket to push it down, and they just kind of pop into place down there. And these decouplers, they kind of minimize the vibration of the injector from the engine. So, alright, got the new valve cover on. And you gotta tighten all these bolts, 26 of them in that order, down to 8.5 Newton meters. Got all that done. Now I'm gonna put the injectors back in and get going. Now we pop the injectors back into position like this, and then put the brackets in place to hold them, and should be good. Actually, that's upside down, but you know what I mean. And then it'll look like that. So these just pop in, and you just want to make sure you've got this lined up with that groove. Push them down. Do all of those. You notice these are different. This one points this way, this one points this way. And so you can't kind of mess that up if you pay attention. So I just figured out the hard way. You don't want to put these back in before you put the fuel lines on, because then you can't get anything in there to tighten the fuel lines. So now I've got to lift these up and pull these out again. And now I can get to the fuel line. So you want to put the fuel lines back in before you put these back in. Duh. And that's pretty much what we want to hear. So my code for the Valvetronic sensors has gone away, and it's actually running, so well done.